Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Uh,
Today we're looking at something kind of different. It's about communication styles, but it gets a little out there, to be honest.
ah,
It talks about these chosen ones, people whose words just like shake others up,
yeah.
make them face things they'd rather not. Yeah, how you're always saying you can't stand anything superficial.
Right.
Well, this might be right up your alley
hmm
because it's all about how strong real communication can be.
What's interesting is the text uses some powerful imagery to describe these chosen ones' words, like arrows, mirrors, blades, even fire.
Yeah, not exactly subtle. One line that really got me was, your words are like arrows that find the right target, penetrating the soul and leaving marks that don't disappear easily. Wow. Makes you think twice before you speak, huh?
Right. But it goes deeper than that. The imagery suggests it's not just about giving information, it's about breaking down those walls people put up and facing them to see some uncomfortable truths.
So it's like instead of just saying, hey, you messed up, it's more like they're hitting a nerve, making the person really feel the weight of what they did.
Yeah. Exactly. And that seems to be a big theme running through all this stuff. This idea that the chosen one's words trigger some serious introspection, even a feeling of being haunted by what's been said.
Hold on, haunted. That's pretty strong. Don't you think that's a bit much? I mean, words are powerful, but can they really have that kind of effect?
I think what it's getting at is how these encounters dig up those deep-seated beliefs and insecurities, the things we bury way down, and facing that head on can be really unsettling, even haunting. Like you're forced to deal with parts of yourself you'd rather ignore.
Okay, I can see that. And I guess it ties back to what we were saying before about you wanting to explore genuine self-discovery.
Yeah.
This kind of communication, even if it's a little rough, could be a catalyst for growth, right?
Absolutely. It's all about challenging those comfortable illusions and pushing us towards the truth, even if it hurts at first.
It's like ripping off a Band-Aid you didn't even know was there. Ouch, but maybe necessary in the end.
Exactly. And that's where the mirror metaphor comes in. The text says, your words are like mirrors and they hate what they see reflected. It's not just information, it's triggering a reaction, a deep, sometimes gut-wrenching reaction that can lead to real change.
Okay, I'm starting to get the bigger picture, but I'm still stuck on this whole chosen one thing. Is this like a mystical destiny type deal? Or can anyone become this kind of communicator?
That's a great question, and honestly, I think the text leaves that open for us to decide.
So on one hand, we have lines like, this is your mission, even if you're not fully aware of it, you are a chosen one, and everything you say carries a force they can't understand but can feel. Sounds pretty destined, right? Like some people are just born with this communication superpower.
Yeah, but then there are other parts that suggest it's more of a choice, a conscious decision to take on this role. Like that line, being a chosen one is not just a title. It is a mission that requires courage. You carry the responsibility of opening the eyes of those who prefer to live in darkness. It suggests choosing to use your communication skills for something bigger, even if it means facing pushback and making people uncomfortable.
So maybe it's not one or the other. Maybe it's both. A natural tendency towards straight talking, combined with the choice to speak the truth no matter what.
I think that's a really sharp observation, and it brings up a question for you. Have there been times in your own life where you've kind of stumbled into this chosen one role, where what you said had a big impact on someone else?
That's something to think about. And if so, how do we handle the responsibility that comes with that kind of influence?
That's a crucial question, and one we'll dig into more as we go deeper into this. But before we do, I'm curious what's standing out to you so far.
Honestly, I'm fascinated by this idea that being uncomfortable can actually help us grow. It's not what you'd expect, but it makes sense. We all try to avoid tough situations, but maybe those are the times that force us to face our limits and change.
That's a great point. And I think it leads perfectly into the next part of our deep dive, where we'll look at specific examples from the text of how this chosen one communication style plays out in real life.
All right, let's unpack some of these stories. I'm ready to see this in action.
I think you'll find them pretty eye-opening. They offer a peek into the power of speaking the truth and how deeply it can affect both the speaker and the listener. Let's get into some of those specific examples the source material gives us. These stories really show how the chosen one's words actually affect people.
Yeah, okay. Bring on the drama. I remember one part that was super vivid. Something like, the torment you cause is real because you don't just say anything. Your words carry a force that goes beyond the obvious. They touch the deepest wounds where no one else dares to go, revealing what they struggle so hard to hide from themselves. And this haunts them night and day without rest.
Yeah, that one stuck with me too. It's like a psychological thriller, isn't it? The idea that words can dig up those vulnerabilities and force people to confront their darker side.
It's like suddenly they see themselves in a totally different light.
Yeah,
and they don't like what they're seeing. And the text really emphasizes that haunted feeling, like they can't escape, even if they wanted to.
you got it. There's another line that captures that perfectly. What was once comfort into confusion, what was once security into a desperate internal struggle. The impact has already occurred. You've trapped them in a labyrinth of reflections, doubts, and fears they weren't ready to face.
Whoa, a labyrinth of reflections, doubts, and fears. That's intense. It's like their whole world is flipped upside down.
And I think that's a key point. The chosen one's communication isn't just offering a new perspective. It's like shaking the foundation of their whole reality.
Yeah.
It's like shattering illusions, making them face the truth, which can be really disorienting.
So instead of gently pushing someone in a new direction, they're yanking the rug out from under them. No wonder it causes so much chaos.
Right. But the source material says this chaos is actually necessary for growth. There's this recurring theme that the chosen one's words are like a purifying fire, burning away the old to make room for the new.
You mean like the truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable?
Exactly. And the text really focuses on going through that fire. It says things like, the torment you caused is necessary for change to occur, and your words, true and loaded with spiritual power, will remain with them no matter how much they try to bury or deny them.
So even if it feels awful and confusing, those words spark a deep change inside.
And remember, it's not just about changing beliefs or opinions. It's about confronting the stuff we've built our identities on.
So it's not just changing our minds, it's like changing who we are deep down.
You got it. And that's why it can be so unsettling. There's a powerful phrase. They are being destroyed from within. Every thought turns to what you've said, and no matter how hard they try, they can no longer escape this new reality.
Wow, I can see why people react so strongly to the chosen one. It turns their world upside down, but it also feels like it's necessary, like it's leading to something better.
That's the interesting thing about this communication style. It's disruptive and unsettling, but it could also be incredibly freeing. It's about breaking free from those limiting beliefs and self-deceptions that stop us from being our true selves.
So it's kind of like a tough love approach to communication.
I think that's a good way to put it. It's not about sugarcoating or tiptoeing around the truth. It's about being honest and clear, even if it hurts, because that pain can be the push we need to grow and change.
Okay, so we've talked about the impact of the chosen one's words, the turmoil and transformation they bring. But what about the chosen one themselves? What does it mean to be in that role?
That's a really interesting question, and one the text kind of leaves up to us. On one hand, it seems like being a chosen one is a burden, a responsibility they don't always choose.
Yeah. Like that line, this is your mission. Even if you're not fully aware of it, you are a chosen one, and everything you say carries a force they can't understand but can feel. It sounds like some people are just born with this ability to really get through to others, whether they want to or not.
Right, but then there are parts that suggest it's more active, a conscious choice to walk this path.
Yeah, like being a chosen one is not just a title. It is a mission that requires courage. You carry the responsibility of opening the eyes of those who prefer to live in darkness. It's like they're choosing to use their communication to do something important, even if it means facing resistance and making people uncomfortable.
Exactly. So maybe it's both. A natural inclination plus the conscious choice to step into the role.
That makes sense. It's like some people might be naturally drawn to this kind of direct communication, but it takes guts and intention to actually use that power well.
Absolutely. And that brings up some questions for you. What are the signs that someone might be a chosen one? Is it something we can learn, or is it just something you're born with?
Those are good questions. And it makes me wonder, how can we all learn to communicate more authentically and intentionally, even if we don't see ourselves as these chosen ones?
That's a great point. This isn't just about understanding one type of communication. It's about realizing the power we all have to create change with our words.
So it's not about trying to be someone we're not. It's about finding our own voice and speaking our truth, even when it's tough.
Exactly. And that can be hard, but the source material suggests it's a journey worth taking.
I'm starting to see how these ideas connect to my own life and work. I really value being real and open communication.
Yeah.
But I also know how easy it is to avoid the hard conversations.
That's something we all struggle with. But those hard conversations are where the real growth happens. And remember, you don't have to be a chosen one to speak your truth and make a difference.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So what are some practical ways we can all become more courageous and impactful communicators?
That's a great question. And one we can explore more as we go into the last part of our deep dive. The source material has some interesting thoughts on the role of truth awakening and the transformative power of words.
I'm ready for the next level. Let's dive into those insights. It's funny how this stuff kind of flips the script on how we usually think about communication.
Yeah.
Like we often see it as just sharing information or getting our point across, but this whole chosen one thing suggests it can be way deeper, almost transformative.
Yeah, it goes back to that focus on truth and how it's presented as this powerful, almost spiritual thing. The text talks about their words as being true and loaded with spiritual power, capable of stirring the spirit of those who hear you. It's not just about facts. It's about showing a deeper reality.
And it's not always a comfy ride, is it? We've talked about the turmoil, the discomfort even that torment these truths can cause. It's like a bucket of cold water, a serious wake-up call.
Exactly. The source material even says, the torment you caused is necessary for change to occur. Deep down, they know they need this transformation. It's like a trial by fire, a test that leads to something better, a more awakened state of being.
It makes me think about how we try to avoid being uncomfortable. But maybe that discomfort is what helps us grow.
That's a good point. This deep dive is challenging us to rethink how we see truth, to be open to ideas that make us squirm a bit, that make us question our assumptions and change.
And it shows how sometimes the most impactful communication comes from unexpected places. It's not always a big fancy speech or a popular book. It could be a friend, a mentor, or even a stranger who says something that just clicks, and suddenly your whole perspective shifts.
You're right. It's not always about these big pronouncements. Sometimes it's just a phrase, a question asked at the right time, even a look that cuts through everything and gets to the core of things.
So it's not just what's being said, but the energy behind it, the speaker's intention. That really makes the difference.
Exactly. And that's what makes this chosen one concept so interesting. It suggests there are people who just have this way about them that makes their words hit harder.
Maybe it's authenticity. Like they're so real, so willing to speak their mind without holding back that it cuts through all the crap.
Could be. Or maybe it's their empathy, their ability to connect with others on a deeper level and see past the masks we wear.
Whatever it is, it's clear their communication leaves an impact. It gets people thinking, feeling, and ultimately changing.
Makes you wonder, are there people in your life who fit that description? People whose words have really stuck with you, challenged you to grow?
Good question. I think we all have those people. Makes me wonder, could we be that person for someone else? Could we take on that responsibility of speaking up even when it's tough, knowing it might lead to something good?
Those are powerful questions to think about, because at the end of the day, this isn't just about understanding one way of communicating. It's about recognizing the power we all have to make a difference with our words and actions.
To wrap things up, there's this one thought from the source material I keep coming back to. It talks about the chosen one's words being like arrows that pierce the soul. But arrows can also point the way, guide us towards something better.
I like that. So maybe the challenge is being aware of the arrows we're sending out and making sure they're leading towards growth, understanding, and a more authentic way of life.
Well said. And to everyone listening, I hope this deep dive encourages you to embrace those uncomfortable moments, to be open to challenges, and to find the courage to speak your truth, even when it's difficult. Because that's where the real magic happens.
It's in those moments when our illusions are shattered and our defenses are down that we can really discover who we are and what we're capable of. So go out there and make some magic.